call Maki's storyline the Zenin clan the way it was perfectly executed. I'm sorry. In my last video about the cinematography of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3, I mentioned that Season 3 Episode 4 was my favorite episode of the series so far, and how Maki's story was, in my opinion, a huge highlight of the series' narrative, a moment when I thought a fairly good shonen story became an undeniably great one. And today I want to talk about why that is, why the Zenin clan, Toji, Mai, and Maki, all of these pieces just come together to tell a story about growing up in toxic traditionalism, breaking free of familial expectation, and just living for yourself in spite of it all. I'm Dom, and this is how Jujutsu Kaisen told a perfect underdog story. Jujutsu Kaisen is a story obsessed with birth. Characters like Gojo are born as the strongest characters in the verse, and characters like Riko are born specifically as a perfect match for a godlike vessel. The circumstances of birth matter in the world of JJK, but for just as many born blessed, so powerful their very existence causes a shift in the world's status quo, there are just as many born as complete and utter failures. The identical twins Maki and Mai Zenin are introduced in Season 1 as sort of classic character foils of each other. You know, one excels in physical ability, the other in cursed energy. One spec'd into strength, the other magic. One fights hand to hand, the other with a gun. You know, real video game rival siblings type shit. Twins in the world of JJK are born special, with a cursed energy of one person being divided into both siblings. So while Mai has enough cursed energy to be an average if not unremarkable third grade sorcerer, Maki is left with barely any at all, instead getting by on pure physical strength, inventive use of cursed tools, and constant training. I love the archetype of character that is an exception of a story's magic system, whether it's Rock Lee being the only real ninja in a world full of wizards, or Ubo breaking the very fabric of Frierin's magic through sheer willpower. There's a lot of really cool ideas that can stem from characters that exist outside of the rules of an author's power system. These characters are so compelling because they should be failures. They shouldn't be able to compete with the gifted main characters and villains of this series. And yet, Rock Lee is probably the most infamous version of this because him not being born with ninjutsu and still doing everything he can to keep up, it's just an all-timer shonen underdog story condensed into basically a single fight and then never mentioned again, but we won't talk about that. But the ripple effect Rock Lee vs. Gaara had is real, and not just in the world of Linkin Park anime edits. I found that in a post-Naruto world, writing the main character as a Rock Lee, someone born powerless in a world that values power, is almost the go-to formula for modern shonen protagonists nowadays. And I think we do have this strange little green man running hands on a goth ginger to thank for that. And in JJK, Maki is that Rock Lee. With Maki's first fight, we get the introduction of heavenly pacts, a sort of trade-off between inherent cursed energy and physical power. So we see characters like Mekamaru with frail bodies trading for incredible amounts of cursed energy. But the opposite is also true. That means with little to no cursed energy, that heavenly restriction means that Maki is incredible. But not everyone sees it like that. Mai and Maki are both daughters of the Zenin clan, one of 3 legendary families of Jujutsu sorcerers that pride themselves in their cursed energy and their long lineage of powerful sorcerers. And so, to the rest of their family, the sisters are complete failures for being born women who are seen as nothing but servants to the men of the clan, but especially for their lack of talent. To a family where one's entire worth is their cursed technique, Maki is an embarrassment. A dirty secret that brings nothing but shame to the rest of the Zenins. The Zenins are barely a family at all, acting as more of a cult to their outdated traditions and pride. The whole family is a sort of fictive take on the immense pressures families can place on their children, and how being born into traditions and rigid expectations can stifle growth before it even begins. And through that, JJK explores Maki and Mai as 2 different responses to the question, what do you do if your own family thinks you're a failure? For Maki, the answer comes with a stubborn drive and ambition to become something more than the failure she's deemed as. She wants to prove her family wrong at any cost. By the time we meet her, Maki is essentially self-exiled from the clan. She wants nothing to do with them and even refrains from letting anyone call her by her surname. In an act of defiance, she tells the head of the Zenin clan that she'll return only to one day become the new head of the clan, and it's this goal that drives her for a lot of what we see in the early series. We learn that Maki far exceeds her grade 4 ranking, but it's specifically because of the family's interference that she's been held back. Despite that, she's so much better than what her rank is that it continuously shocks everyone. Mai is a different story. You see, Mai never wanted the life of a sorcerer in the first place, and it's because of Maki leaving the clan that Mai got the brunt of the Zenin's abuse. Maki's unrelenting drive to prove everyone wrong means that Mai is forced to keep up with her sister, being thrust further and further away from the normal life she wants. Mai resents Maki for being unafraid, for rebelling, but most of all, for giving her no choice in her future. After their fight in Season 1, the two siblings have their first real conversation since Maki left, and Mai asks her point blank, "Why didn't you stay at the bottom with me?" It's heartbreaking because Mai truly doesn't see a way out for herself, but for Maki, the answer comes as naturally as breathing, "Because I would have hated myself." The symbolism of these two is told through one really great flashback, with a younger Mai being too afraid to walk past a cursed spirit, but Maki literally can't see cursed spirits without glasses, and so she takes her sister by the hand and charges past unafraid. And I think in the dynamic of Maki and Mai, just as people, there's a lot of fantastic writing in that. Maki's lack of cursed energy is the exact thing that makes her so fearless, and Mai's cursed energy, the exact thing her family wanted from her, her gift, is what holds her back. The Zenin clan, they'll never accept Maki, no matter how powerful she becomes. Without a Zenin clan TM brand curse technique coming from a male heir, there was never even the option of making them proud. There is no proving herself. The Zenins are controlled by their own limited beliefs, and anyone sticking out from the family's ideals only exist as a nail to be hammered down. And what could stick out more to Zenins than someone with no cursed energy at all, somehow trying to keep up, if not surpass them all? And with that as the setup to Maki, Mai, and the Zenins, we meet Toji Fushiguro. Toji is just so sick, dude. However you want to power scale it, Toji is easily one of the strongest characters in the entire series, with absolutely no cursed energy at all. And as an audience, we can kind of recognize Toji as the fully realized version of Maki's potential. Toji has absolutely no cursed energy, but the trade-off is that he's just completely inhuman physically, the strongest pure fighter in the entire series up to that point. But Toji's introduction does something really cool. It lets us as an audience understand that the ceiling on Maki is way higher than we thought. Yuji can't become another Gojo, that's just not how this world works. But Maki, she could easily become the next Toji. We're introduced to Toji in Season 2 as the Sorcerer Killer, a hired assassin who, like Maki, has discarded the Zenin name. Another thing about having no cursed energy to speak of, he's an invisible man. He's nearly undetectable by other sorcerers. In the Hidden Inventory arc, he kills Riko, defeats Gojo and Geto both, only sparing Geto because he didn't want to set off a cursed spirit nuke, and Gojo only surviving because fuck you, it's Gojo, I guess. And even with his death, we realize just how terrifyingly strong Toji was. Man, it would be a shame if anyone resurrected him as a mindless killing machine in the fictive present. That would be crazy. But there's something else about Toji's characterization here that I really love. Toji is a gambler, a degenerate, a morally bankrupt mercenary taking high-risk missions because he doesn't really have much else to live for. Despite everything, he's still that disgraced member of the Zenin clan, and no matter his accomplishments or physical strength, they still looked down on him as a failure. And he believed it. An understated part of Toji is he's a gambler who never wins. And while it's never really brought up, it doesn't have to be. His first loss came with birth. He wasn't born with a once-in-a-generation power like Gojo, and he wasn't even born on the right side of a coin flip of having cursed energy or not. He was born to a family that never would have given him the acknowledgement he deserved. He found a way out with a woman he loved, only for her to die. Toji died because he wanted to defeat Gojo, to discredit the worldview of his clan that viewed Gojo, the messiah of the Jujutsu world, as something he could never be, to denounce fate and be his own person, untethered to the people that looked down on him for his entire life. To Toji, killing Gojo isn't about defeating a person. It's about dismantling a system to prove he exists, that his life means anything. So he bets on himself to beat the strongest, and he loses. Toji is a tragic character in this sense that he could never truly break free of the hold that the Zenins had on him. He clung to their beliefs that he was worthless until the day he died, never truly envisioning a world where his life could have had worth without the acceptance of those he sought it from. Toji lived and died trapped at the bottom, and like Maki knew she would, he hated himself. Toji's only real solace in death was this idea that maybe his son, with his blessings, could lead a better life than he did, either through becoming a respected member of the Zenin clan, or on the off chance that Gojo could mentor him personally. And the moment where he realizes his son took his name over being indoctrinated into the clan that he hated, that's the moment of validation Toji Fushiguro wanted his entire life. Not from the Zenins, but from his son. After the events of Shibuya, the Zenin clan is thrown into a sudden succession war, and this Game of Thrones succession-ass scenario has all the Zenin boys making some serious moves to becoming the new head. And for Maki's father, this means something truly horrific. In order to show everyone how deathly serious he is about his claim, he wants to eradicate the only things that might have been holding him back in the eyes of his clan. His own daughters. The thing about Ogi, Zenin, and really the entire Zenin clan in general is that they're kind of delusional. Ogi genuinely believes that he's the most capable leader and only lost out on succession to Nobito because of his useless daughters. But in reality, he's just kind of a loser. In fact, the whole Zenin clans are kind of talentless hacks, only getting by off the random gamble that 1 in 20 Zenins might luck into being anything special, while the rest join the Zenin jobber squad. It kind of puts Toji's doomed gambling into perspective, while the rest of the Zenins essentially do the same thing with their own bloodline. But to Ogi, his resentment towards his daughters grew. It couldn't have been his fault. He has a cursed technique. He has power. He's a man. And this is when he would reclaim what in his mind is rightfully his. And in the worst act of anime parenting since Goku giving Cell a senzu bean, Ogi lures in his daughters and eliminates them. As the sisters lay there, bleeding out, awaiting to be devoured by cursed spirits, Mai uses the last of her energy to use her curse technique, creating a serene beachfront for the two of them to share one last moment. Mai tells Maki that she fully intends on sacrificing herself, that there was never any place in the Jujutsu world for two halves of the same whole. The world was always going to see them as inseparable, and so this moment is the separation. Mai sacrifices herself, and just like that, Maki is alone. No longer held back by her sister's cursed energy, no longer weighed down by someone that didn't want to keep up. But more than that, the illusion is shattered. There was never any option of redemption. There was no getting out of the Zenin clan's discrimination to her gender, power, or status. Her sister loved her, but the rest of the Zenins don't. And so for them both, there is only destroying everything. By the end of this incident, Maki isn't the leader of the Zenin clan like she always wanted to be. She's just the last one standing. There's another moment though, right after this fight, where Naoya's making his way to, maybe try and get revenge on Maki. It doesn't look like he's in the shape to do anything, but, let a man dream. And Maki's mother stabs him before revealing the truth right before she dies. She was always happy she had daughters. She never really hated them. She was just another victim of this system, forced to perpetuate it. And it's kind of a bittersweet moment that in her own way, she also breaks free of the clan, killing Naoya the same way he said women should die, her one and only true act of free will in the entire show. The thing about shonen stories is they're by design meant to be relatable, coming-of-age tales. Despite the fantasy backdrops and crazy magical powers and wild fights, these are ultimately stories about growing up and finding one's place in the world. And I think this story of being a black sheep in a toxic family, it's just something anyone can sympathize with. We all know people with overbearing parents. We all know people trying to make their family proud, even if they come up short. We all know people crushed under that weight of familial expectation. Manga is almost inseparable from culture, and the Zenins can be seen as this very real critique of overbearing Japanese traditionalism, that an insanely strict household that only values their identity as a family over any child being allowed to truly express themselves. Yeah, that's probably something that's going to strike a chord with modern audiences. Maki was never worthless. She just had no choice but to carve out her own path in a world that never offered her the chance. Toji himself was ironically at one point stronger than the strongest, and maybe with more guidance and acceptance, none of this story ever would have happened. The Zenin clan only existed because Toji let them, and whether or not you want to frame this as wanting to forget about the clan altogether, wanting a better life for Megumi, or just not being bothered, Toji did spare them. Monster as he is, he never truly sought revenge on the Zenins, because Toji is ultimately a victim. He's more akin to Mai or Maki's mother than Maki herself. He didn't see the clan or sorcerer society as something that could truly be dismantled. He was, after all, just a monkey. And I think that deep-seated self-loathing is integral to Toji as a character. He failed because he hated himself. And that's the real difference between Toji and Maki. Maki never gave up on herself because she always had one other person who believed in her. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video. A huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members. Their names will be on the screen, and thank you guys so much. It's because of you that I can keep making these videos, and as a small channel, it really helps so much. So be sure to subscribe, leave a like, all the YouTube stuff. And if you like the style of these videos, leave a comment with other series that you'd like to see me touch on, or even other JJK characters. There's plenty to talk about in Jujutsu Kaisen, so I'd like to explore more. But, you know, if you'd like to see me watch Chainsaw Man or something, I wouldn't be mad. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I've been Dom. This has been Maki. And until next time.